There is a life cycle of the cuckoo bird, where these birds lay eggs in other birds' nests, and when the chick hatches, it pushes the other chicks out of the nest, causing the foster mother to feed only one chick. The scene then shifts to an elementary school classroom, where a teacher named Gemma plays with children who feel enthusiastic about the game idea she creates. After a few hours pass and the class ends, one of the mothers approaches Gemma as she leaves the building, greets her, and asks about her house hunting progress. Gemma tells her that she will meet some property agents later and says that it has been ongoing. After saying goodbye to the mother, she observes one of her students standing nearby, staring at something lying on the ground. When she approaches, she discovers that the thing on the ground is a cuckoo chick that has died. A little girl wonders who could do something like that to a baby bird, and Gemma explains about cuckoos to the girl. When the girl asks why cuckoos can't build their own nests, Gemma answers that it's not their fault. That's just how they are. The girl replies that it's very bad. Soon after the girl says goodbye, a playful voice from the tree calls Gemma to come closer. When Gemma laughs and kicks the tree, a man's voice pretends to be hurt by her action. That man is named Tom, who works odd jobs and is Gemma's boyfriend. After he finishes greeting her, he finds the dead cuckoo bird lying on the ground, then buries it and says a prayer, though his prayer feels half-hearted and joking. A moment later, he puts his tools back in Gemma's car, and she tells him to change his shirt to a clean one before getting into the car because he smells bad. Not long after he puts on a new shirt, the two of them drive straight to the city center to meet the property agent. Besides the agents looking neat and well-organized, all the house models look identical. Only one agent named Martin approaches Gemma and Tom as soon as they enter the marketing office. After introducing himself, Martin tells them about a suburban housing complex known as Yonder, which is not only peaceful but also a very affordable choice. When Gemma asks about the location, Martin replies that the distance is precise, not far, but not close either. This makes Tom and Gemma feel that Martin's attitude is odd and unsettling, but he appears very convincing. In their own car, Gemma and Tom follow Martin as he drives his own car. They arrive at Yonder after some time, where they observe that the houses are identical to the model at the marketing office, and all their appearances are the same. Additionally, the area has no other people or cars. Martin already waits for them when they arrive at house number 9, where they park their car. As soon as they enter the house, he brings them inside and gives them a tour of the fully furnished home. When they reach the kitchen, he offers them a gift of champagne and strawberries from the fridge. But Martin feels disappointed because Tom and Gemma refuse the gift, saying they still need to drive home. Next, he brings them upstairs, where he shows them a children's room painted blue and explains that this is not just a house, it is a house they can use for the rest of their lives. Martin asks whether they have children or not, and Gemma responds that she and Tom are not married yet. Martin then imitates her voice and gestures exactly when repeating her answer. In the next part of the tour, they continue to the master bedroom, where they find 2 sets of folded clothes beside the bed, but as soon as they enter the room, Martin invites them out once again to see the backyard garden. When they return downstairs, Martin opens the back door for them, but he doesn't follow them after they leave the house. Gemma and Tom explore the garden and investigate the empty neighboring houses. They also look around the yard. When Gemma turns around to ask Martin when people will move in from outside, they realize that Martin is no longer with them. So they return to the house to look for him, but their efforts bring no result. When they go out to the street, they find that their car has disappeared. Gemma is instructed by Tom to leave this strange complex, so they get into the car with Gemma driving. But strangely, they keep finding themselves back at house number 9, and it only takes a few seconds for them to loop around and get lost. After several failed attempts, Gemma and Tom switch roles. This time, Tom tries to drive them out of the housing complex, while Gemma checks their phones and finds that neither of them has a signal. When they return to house number 9 more than once, they spend the entire day driving and arguing about which exit is the right one. By the time night arrives, their car stops completely in front of house number 9 again, because it runs out of gas. With no other option, they decide to spend the night inside the house. They enter the house and take the gift from the fridge, but as soon as they taste the strawberries, they realize that the strawberries have no flavor at all. After this impromptu dinner, they go to the master bedroom, where Gemma says she has never had the chance to experience silence like this at all. When Tom wakes up the next morning, he takes a ladder from the car and uses it to climb up to the roof. But from that viewpoint, the only thing he can see is an endless sea of identical houses. After getting down from the roof, Tom decides to try something new. He wants to follow the sun. Though exhausted, They keep walking non-stop, continuing past gardens and jumping over fences. Sometime later, they spend the whole day until they find a house with the lights on at night. When they are about to enter, they find the strawberries and glasses from the previous night still sitting on the table. Unable to believe what they see, they run to the front door and confirm their suspicion by finding out that they have returned to house number 9 again. But this time, there is a cardboard box waiting for them on the street, and when Gemma opens it, she finds a large quantity of vacuum-packed bland food, along with some personal hygiene products. As she becomes more anxious, she walks into the middle of the road and shouts at the unknown delivery person to come back. Meanwhile, Tom brings the box into the house and rips off its cover, then burns it with a lighter. After that, he uses it to set the curtains on fire, starting a blaze that spreads through the entire house after he escapes. When he meets Gemma outside, he tells her that he sends a smoke signal so people can notice them. As they sit across the street, they continue to watch the house burn and eventually fall asleep there. When they wake up the next morning, they hear the sound of a baby inside a cardboard box. When Gemma opens it, it really does contain a baby inside. A message written on the lid of the box says, "Raise this child and let go." Gemma picks up the baby and reveals that he is a boy, just as the smoke and ashes begin to clear. The couple are shocked to discover that their house is not destroyed at all. 98 days later, the roof of house number 9 has the word "Help" painted on it. Tom and Gemma, who have lived there for a long time, have been raising the boy, who is now 10 years old. The boy stands alone in front of their bed, waiting for his parents to wake up this morning. When they do, he begins by mimicking their body movements, and then he starts mimicking their arguments using their exact voices, just like what Martin did before. Even though Tom calls him a creepy little mutant, the boy doesn't care about the label. All he wants is to be pampered. Gemma goes downstairs and marks his height on the wall, where many other markings she has made before are already visible. The boy asks what a dog is, and after Gemma explains it, he responds by saying that he grows up like a dog. After running around the living room making noises, the boy stops in front of them and asks if his mother feels overwhelmed. Gemma tells him that she is not his mother, and when he asks about his own identity, she replies that only God knows. The boy runs and makes more noises again, then suddenly starts screaming as loud as he can. Gemma and Tom have already realized that this means he wants food, so they quickly prepare breakfast for him. Only when his cereal is ready does the boy finally stop screaming. After all three finish eating together, it's time to clean up. Tom puts all the leftovers and empty packaging into the box, then takes it out and leaves it on the street because he and Gemma already know it will be replaced. While the boy stares at the box, Tom and Gemma sit in the yard with a pickaxe in Tom's hand. Gemma says the pickaxe is useless since Tom plans to threaten the courier who is supposed to collect the box, but strangely, he never shows up. Gemma returns inside to make coffee, feeling uncomfortable after being stared at by the boy. Meanwhile, Tom lights a cigarette, and after finishing it, he throws it toward the boy. The cigarette but hits the boy's chest, falls to the ground, and unexpectedly sets the grass on fire in a circle. Once Tom realizes what happened, he quickly grabs the pickaxe and drives it into the exposed ground. He discovers various materials underground, which sparks an idea in his mind. He decides to go to the car and get his tools to start digging a hole. At first, Gemma helps him, but she soon realizes it's a waste of her time. She notices that the box is gone when she looks up, and although she turns to the boy and asks if he moves it, he shakes his head to show that he didn't. Afterward, she asks about Tom, but the boy is only interested in digging, since that's what he can do. So she leaves him alone. Late at night, Gemma relaxes in bed, waiting for Tom. She asks him, "Why do you spend the whole day digging?" And he replies by saying that there must be a bottom that leads somewhere. The next morning, they begin their routine as usual, but this time Tom leaves earlier after breakfast to continue digging underground. Even though Gemma offers to help, Tom insists on finishing it by himself, so she decides to focus on doing laundry instead. To entertain himself, the boy runs and makes noises again, then turns on the TV and sees strange patterns that look like fractals. While digging, Tom decides to join Gemma after realizing she has entered their car. Unlike the house, the car has a distinct smell, which is one of the reasons they prefer staying there. Tom accidentally turns on the radio while trying to relax, and it plays music. Realizing the battery still works, They turn on the headlights and get out of the car to dance on the sidewalk. After hearing the loud music, the boy comes outside and watches them for a while before finally joining in. While dancing, he accidentally knocks Tom to the ground, which causes Tom to hold a grudge, and eventually, he knocks the boy down too. As Gemma, worried about the boy, checks on him, he stands up without any problem and keeps dancing even though the music has stopped. After Tom rushes back inside, Gemma puts the boy to bed and asks him to give her and Tom some privacy now and then, but the boy doesn't understand what she means. When she says goodnight to him, he calls Gemma mom again, so she reminds him that she is not his mother. Not long after, the boy starts screaming again, and Gemma rushes back in to grab his shoulders and ask what he wants. After repeatedly demanding him to be quiet, the boy finally stops screaming and starts mimicking Tom. Gemma becomes angry, calls him disgusting, and leaves the room. She joins Tom in their bed and kisses and hugs him, but Tom apologizes because he is too tired to respond. The three of them continue the same routine again and again, and the days go by. The hole that Tom digs becomes bigger, until one morning, he realizes he can hear sounds coming from underground, which motivates him to keep digging. After some time passes, he realizes the weird noises from the boys' TV show are the same sounds he hears underground. They try to turn off the TV, but the boy takes back the remote and turns it on again. They decide to leave him alone and go back to sleep because they don't know what else to do. After enduring the torturous routine for several more days, Tom finally loses his temper one morning. He grabs the boy's cereal bowl and throws it at the wall, then picks up the screaming boy and takes him to the car, where he locks him inside, planning to starve him to death. Tom pushes Gemma back into the house and onto the floor, where he reminds her that they are not the boy's parents and they should no longer take care of him. But Gemma feels sorry for the boy and asks Tom for the key. Tom tells her that someone might come to rescue the boy if he's close to death. After thinking about it, Gemma asks what will happen if no one comes. Tom corrects her, explaining that the boy is not human, but something else, and if he dies, maybe they will be freed. As soon as Gemma realizes that she cannot stand thinking about waiting for the boy to die, she quickly takes the car keys from Tom's hand and runs to the street to save the boy from the car. After she convinces him that she will not allow Tom to hurt him any further, he agrees to get out of the car. A few days later, Gemma puts the boy to sleep one night and explains to him what a dream is. Tom has dug a hole deep enough, so he decides to stay in that position and sleep there. Meanwhile, the boy takes the opportunity to hug Gemma. Tom has been ignored by Gemma and the boy since the car lock incident, and as a result, he now has to eat alone. During the day, Gemma and the boy spend time together, playing and having a picnic, but it is only Gemma's outlet for how stressed she feels being trapped in this housing complex, acting like a dog. As a result, at sunset, Gemma sheds tears alone in her bed. After she bathes and changes clothes alone without Tom, Gemma wakes the boy up one morning, but she does not find him in his bed. After searching the entire house, she goes outside and asks Tom about it. However, he has not seen him either, but he is not worried that the boy is lost because he is only interested in continuing to dig. Gemma decides to take a walk around the complex in an effort to find him, and after a few hours when the rounds bring her back to house number 9, she finds that the boy has returned and is standing near the hole with a book in his hand. Gemma takes the book and tries to read it at night, where the book is full of symbols she does not recognize, along with various strange pictures. These pictures include fractals from the TV, a human family, and a person with a throat pouch. Gemma approaches the boy who is watching TV and asks about his whereabouts earlier. In response, he states that he has been trying to solve a mystery, and when Gemma asks what he has found, he only answers, "A lot." Gemma also asks if he has met anyone new, and he answers that he has, but he is not allowed to reveal who the person is. Gemma has another idea. She turns off the TV and tells the boy they will play pretend. She asks him to imitate himself, Tom, and a dog. The boy successfully does all of them, so after that she instructs him to imitate the person he met today, and finally the boy starts making TV sounds while inflating his throat pouch, which causes him to become very scared. As a result, Gemma suspects she has raised a creature that is not human, before the boy calls his mother to ask how she is. But Gemma reminds him again that she is not his mother. All she wants to do is go home, but the boy calls her silly because she is already in a place that can truly be called home. Days pass, and finally the message written on the roof changes from help to a curse word to vent the couple's anger. Their routine remains the same, and the boy has grown into an adult who closely resembles Martin. At night, Gemma prepares dinner for him and then leaves him alone at the dining table, while she takes the dishes she and Tom prepared to their barricaded bedroom, where they eat privately. Tom asks her what is on her mind, and Gemma answers by saying she should have allowed Tom to kill the boy when he was still small. But Tom tells her that he did not actually do it because he knows that she is a kind-hearted person. While Tom is bathing, all the bruises he has suffered from continuously digging become visible. Because he is in pain, Gemma has to help him bathe. The boy leaves the house carrying his book the next morning, as he has done every day recently. Gemma tries to follow in the same direction, but it does not take long for her to experience the same loop that always brings her back to house number 9. Meanwhile, Tom continues to dig until he finds something. But when he realizes what it is, he stops his excitement because it turns out to be a bag containing a corpse inside. As Tom comes out of the hole, he is overwhelmed with fear, followed by hearing Gemma calling him, so he answers by calling her name. But he struggles to breathe, so he has to lower himself to the ground to calm down. Gemma finds him still lying down, and after checking his condition, she helps him stand up and escorts him home, only to find that the house door is locked. She then goes to look through the window, where she sees the boy watching TV while ignoring her and not opening the door. As a result, the only option available for them is to sleep inside the car. A few hours later, when Gemma finally realizes it, she finds that Tom's condition has worsened significantly. She rushes out of the car and knocks on the door with all her might, and when the boy appears, she asks him to help Tom in any way he can. The boy only responds by saying that maybe it is time for Tom to be freed before he leaves as usual. Feeling overwhelmed, Gemma is now sitting on the sidewalk with Tom. She helps him light his last cigarette, then reminisces about the first day they met by telling him that being with him is like being at home, and finally he passes away. At the end of the night, the boy returns with a box in his hands and finds Gemma asleep on Tom's body. His sounds cause her to wake up, and she checks the contents of the box, which turns out to be a large vacuum corpse bag. When she is shocked and cries, she steps back. Then the boy starts putting Tom's body into the bag, and finally, the boy throws it into the hole Tom had dug. Although she follows him, Gemma can do nothing but watch. Gemma then hides inside the car the next morning, waiting for the boy to leave the house. As soon as he appears and begins to look for her, Gemma waits until he turns around and then attacks him from behind with a pickaxe, but she only manages to cause minor injuries to him. The boy hisses, then quickly escapes using both his hands and feet, and finally he crawls into a maze that turns out to be hidden under the sidewalk. When she keeps following him, Gemma finds herself in a reddish house. Inside, she finds a family suffering the same difficulties as she and Tom, and a strange boy watching strange shows with a woman crying in the kitchen. Suddenly the floor begins to swallow her, and she arrives in another room with a greenish color, where she sees events similar to those she and Tom experienced. When she continues being sucked through the wall and enters a purple bathroom, she finds a man who has done something unthinkable in the bathtub. As she steps back in shock, she suddenly finds herself rolling down the stairs and finally arrives back at house number 9. She walks out slowly, but after just a few steps, she falls to the ground and cries in pain. At this moment, the boy tries to make the house look new by painting over the height measurement mark Gemma made on the wall and fixing the details around the house. After that, he places Gemma inside a vacuum body bag and tells her that she is a mother. Gemma says that all they want is a place they can call home, but the boy tells her once again that she really has arrived at what he calls home. In her final words, Gemma firmly states again that she is not his mother, and finally, she dies. After zipping up the bag and dragging her out to be disposed of in the hole, the boy then covers her with the soil that Tom has dug, and eventually, the boy's task is finished, followed by the grass returning to its original state automatically. After the boy fills up Gemma's car with gas, he returns to the city in her car, aiming to go to Martin's marketing office, and finds that he has become old and is now dying in his chair. Martin gives the boy his name tag, and eventually, Martin dies. The boy then attaches that name tag to his own shirt before pulling a vacuum body bag out of a drawer and placing Martin inside it. A receipt is stapled onto the bag, and then he starts rolling up the bag with Martin's body still inside. Finally, he places it into a larger drawer with a strange sound echoing in the background. The movie ends with the boy now becoming the property agent, as he sits at the desk, And finally, he is ready to welcome a new couple looking for a home that is peaceful and affordable. It seems that this boy is an alien, with the proof being the strange growth on his neck when he was young, and the bizarre shows he loves to watch are lessons for him to become a proper alien. In addition, he is one of the aliens assigned to secretly capture humans once they grow up, starting with instructing them to raise him from a baby to an adult, and then trapping them inside an endless looping simulation of a suburban housing complex. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notification so you don't miss the latest recaps. Thanks for watching and wish you good health.